Hi there. I'm pretty sure that I'm live. I'm just gonna double check. So just bear with me, okay? A few seconds. But hi, how are you? I'm hoping you are doing okay. I'm just trying to, like I said, I'm trying to make sure that we are live and everything is working properly. And then I can tell you what it's because I don't see myself like as being live yet. So I try to make sure that okay, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm live. Just setting up some stuff on my phone so you'd have don't hear beeps, but you might. Okay. So, hello everyone. I hope you guys are doing okay. I can, for some reason, I can't reach the chat. Okay, there we go. See, there's some things that have changed, so I'm just getting like working this out. So, I hope you guys are doing okay. My name is Nathalie DeSousa. I'm part of the design team, and I'm going to be your host for the next little bit. Don't mind my hair; it's really hot here in Toronto, Canada. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon here in Toronto, and literally we are at 42 degrees Celsius. It's already 37 degrees, and then plus the humidity, we feel like 42, 43. So it's really hot here. That means that it's super humid. That means that my hair is going to do the things that I don't like it to do, which is curl um, and be puffy. So not a good day, not a good hair day, but and not a good day in itself. Oh yeah, it's really like really puffy. Um, but it is what it is. I hope you guys are doing okay. Like I said, you're gonna hear my like a few beeps because I set up my comments and stuff like that to go to my watch. Once I flip the camera, well, I have two cameras. I won't be able to see you guys straight on, so my watch will give me some help with that. So I hope you guys are doing okay. It's been a while. It's just summer. There are some issues with we'll talk about it a lot, but it's been really hot here in Toronto, like extremely hot. Right now, I thank God for the air conditioner. The apartment is like that, but the emergency, the studio lights make it really hot too. So not that pleasant, but it's been busy too, anyways. So and then also there's been a bit of like because of how the world is changing, and I mean not in a bad way, politics take a lot of like, the joy of creating, especially for manufacturers. I think there's been a little bit of issues with what happened with the kits, so they were a little bit delayed. So I'm gonna work today with the June kit. I have it all here. Actually, I know I left some other stuff over there, but I'm not gonna use that. If I am, I'm gonna bring it. It takes two steps. That's the beauty working in the apartment. Everything is like, at a hand's reach. But yeah, so we haven't been going live, but we're gonna continue working. Please, it's the summer. A lot of people are on vacation. I know in the U.S. you guys are going back to school, I think in a couple weeks. For us in Canada, we don't go back to school until September. And I mean, I don't have small children. I have adults, but both my kids are doing their masters. So yes, I'm back to school. So there you go. Life of an adult with adult kids. So with not much to say, I'm gonna just turn it to the camera and I'm going to show you what I have. My kids just got here last week. So that means that I didn't even well, I can say I haven't even opened it because of that mistake. I've opened it. I have the idea for today. Simple, quick, and I think you're gonna enjoy it. But let me just, I'm going to flip the camera, but I'm also gonna go get something right now. Okay, hold on. So just stare at the kid front. Okay, and I'm back. I just went to get, it's like I said, I have the entire kit. I haven't opened it. So I went to get like, the color kit too. I didn't bring any of the dyes or the stamps because I don't think I'm gonna use them. but I think I might use the color kit. I might. I'm not so sure yet. But I have it here. So I just wanted to make sure that, like I said, everything is at hand. I think I have my water here too. Let me just get some brushes. And I have just a set of brushes just in case. I don't think my idea was not to use it, and I'm hoping not to. So I have my kit here. Like I said, my embellishments are here, part of them. Okay, so this is going to be kind of like the highlight of my project. I have my color kit here. That's really beautiful colors. They're all shimmery. And then I have a few more of my embellishments. And then I have my pattern paper. So here, and I also have the basics just in case. I have it here. I think I'm going to use mostly pattern paper and some of the embellishments. Okay, so I'm just reading anything that's showing up here. It's going to make sure, like, everything is working fine. Yes. Well, it says I'm trying to, like I said, just trying to work with everything here. My bit rate is a little bit short, so I'm just going to just do something. So in case, you're not gonna lose me, but I just want to make sure that you guys can see me. So I'm just gonna double check on the quality of that. Okay, should be fine now. Okay, I see it. If there's an issue, sorry guys, it's completely out of my hands. It's completely up to technology right now. So going back to the project. So I have the pattern paper, and I actually love the pattern paper. Um, it's quite a few beautiful patterns, but as always, I love B-side. And it has this kind of like really funky look to it, but I love the colors. They're perfect for the summer. They have like that um, when you look at stuff that has like the sunny kind of beach bum effect to it, I'm gonna call it beach bum, but it's like beachy, that kind of yellowish tint to it. Not in a bad way, like just like sun kissed. And actually, the name of the kit is Pocket Full of Sunshine, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it actually has a lot, to do with that. So I'm just like quickly showing you the paper. Like I said, I just got it, I think, last week, and we're gonna use it. So let me show you the picture that I have. I have this picture. That's my mom. That's my cousin. She's like my little sister, because she grew up with us back home in Ecuador before we came to Toronto, Canada. So I have this photo. I'm just gonna set it to the side right now for a little bit. And I want something, like I said, I just opened my kids. I want something quick. So, because I don't want to keep you guys here for a long time. And to be honest with you, as much as I want to stay here for the entire afternoon, it's really hot here in Toronto. And the lights are making it a little bit hotter. So I want to take advantage of this beautiful chipboard, because who doesn't love a big title? And I think that, okay, I gotta be honest with you. I love, like, big titles. One, because it gives you a good, not that it take a lot of space, but it gives you just like a big focal point to start with. I'm just poking up the centers of the letters. Yeah. So it gives you just to, I have my 12 by 12, grid here. So it gives you like a good place, like a good title. It's like, redundant, but a good focal point. But more than that, it helps you to anchor your pieces. And what I mean by that is, you're not gonna, because it's so heavy or so large, it kind of helps like to ground everything onto your page. So in this case, if I only had that and the photo up here, it'd be like kind of flying. But if I put my picture like right above it, it just kind of holds it in place. So it doesn't look like things are out of the place, but they're actually kind of cohesive. So I really want to take advantage of the title. And there were some sentences, let me see at the back. So I have memories. Another one I use the word memories. I don't want pocket full. There was something that said happy memories, I think. But I don't know how big this is. See, it's too big. I like memories. Maybe fun because it kind of has the same. I was full. I thought it said fun. Hmm, let's see. Sunshine. Smile. Maybe we'll find something else that fits there. But I know memories is going to be the one that is going to sit there. So that already kind of takes quite a bit of my page. So just so you see it, I know memory is going to sit there. I don't know. We're going to see what else. And oh, you see, I have these lovely memories, which I might use. But I'm going to use the colors of this kit because if you look at the picture, I'm just like, okay, see, I'm looking at all the stuff that's here. Yeah. My cousin is wearing like this fuchsia and flowers. Mom is like in this blue and purple. So I thought that would be the perfect colors with the papers in this collection. So I really like that. I know I want to frame my photo just to make sure that it grounds a little bit more. And I want to give it like a nice neutral background because we are going to create a cluster here. So I'm going to tell you more or less my idea is. I want to create something like a small cluster, but then I want to hang elements from here. Okay, so we're gonna make it heavy but light. Hope that makes, that you can understand that. Because sometimes I don't even understand myself. I gotta be honest. But my brain works like, by the time I'm saying something, my brain has already worked like 20 things to say. So I'm just pulling out some of the frames that come in the ephemera kit in this collection. I think this is too big. I like kind of the blue one. I might not even use it, so I don't know. But I have them here just in case. But I know that I'm gonna need pattern paper too. Like I said, I need to hefty it up a little bit because it has to balance the two sides. So I like that. Let's look at the papers because I need to give it a background. And I really don't wanna use much more than, pattern paper, some of the ephemera and the titles. Today is all about like, your favorite things. And yeah, we love the entire kit. Let's not kid ourselves. But at the same time, you know, let's just pull the things that we really, really love and then work with it. I love this paper. Wait, I was looking at it. There's one that has this. I know those butterflies are gonna get some use. I like this. One of the papers that I eyeballed when I opened the box last week, and I also like this. Okay, so let's just start working on this. See, I like that. It's quite a bit of white, but still going to like, we're gonna make this pop. So don't worry, it might look like a lot of white, but I'm gonna show you a way to make it pop without a lot of effort. So like I said, and we're gonna hang things from it too. So I like that. I also like this, but if anything, this will go like this. Because if I'm gonna hang things, I have to make sure that it kind of follows the grain of the paper. I like that. But I also like this. But let me see, it might be. One thing is that I like it, another thing that it works. See, it's gonna be too busy. Even though this, and you can customize this, by the way. You can color it. It has like, what is the name that I'm gonna say? It has a little bit of a finish to it that's gonna create resist. That's what I brought the color kit because I might change my mind, but the more I look at it, I think it's gonna stay white. Okay, so really like this, but I like it better on this paper. So let's tell you the name of the paper. Let's move stuff out of the way. The name of this paper is Keeping Cool. And I love the scallops here, but I really like this. It's a little bit of like, I think it's like a soft coral on the background. It's like a little bit of like this, it's not called distress on the background, which I think is going to be great to just make everything else pop nicely. Because it's a color that works nicely with the pink and purple and blue that's in these pictures. So kind of a nice background color, accent color. I'm just gonna trim, get a new blade and everything. I'm so excited that I actually found it on my stack today in the morning. So let's start building this up. Okay. See, nothing complicated. Like I said, we're gonna go sometimes simple. It's the way to go. And in this, because you have like, you can go with a bigger picture too. I was thinking about pulling two pictures, but I think one is gonna be enough for me. But going back to this, sometimes like you want things to pop, and in this case, I want the title to be like a big pop here. But because I am contrasting it with the picture right here, there's a lot of color in the picture that is gonna pop more than the title. And then I'm reading some comment. Yes, I do a lot of 6x8. That's my everyday 6x8. I'm answering a question. Somebody asked me if I do a lot of 6x8 or 12x12. Um, I'm gonna tell you this. I started as a 12x12 my entire life. I'm gonna keep working at it. So before I continue, before I talk about that, let me finish this idea. So it's gonna be, see, color heavy at the top because I have all that color. This is kind of neutral. So I need to balance this out. To balance this up, I'm gonna hang things at the bottom. How are we gonna hang things? We're gonna use the title to help us with that. Okay? So going back to what Michelle asked me, she asked me if I do 12x12 or 6x8. My entire life, since I can remember, probably, and I have a really good memory, guys. Okay? But as long as I can remember, I've always had a notebook. Think of it as a diary, um, whichever way you want to call it. I use this nowadays. I use a lot of this. This is pretty much what this and traveler's notebooks is what I use on a regular basis. And it was always about like just not taking notes, writing everything down, and just taking pictures, And then I had kids. And then I was like, okay, I was really busy because I'm a stay-at-home mom. So, you know, things well, things don't change, but eventually when the kids got older and I actually had some free time, I decided that I was gonna start, putting all those, because what it's nice to have all that writing when I'm gonna read it, and I read it all the time, and I have like boxes of them since I was little. Sometimes there's stickers, sometimes there's a lot of things in it. But the older that I got, I realized that nobody else could read those things. So, and then we decided to take, see, I like this because it brings out the blue in my mom's shirt. So I'm going to pull out this paper. So I'm just auditioning papers, but I'll tell you my sappy little story. Um, then we took the kids once they were older, like, I'm really close to my family back home. And this one for my cousin's dress, so these two colors. We waited until the kids were older to take them back home. I'm from Ecuador, so I speak Spanish. That's my first language. So we waited until, and I think we waited too long, but until my kids were old, like starting their teens. They were 12 and 15, I believe, when we took them to Ecuador. And we took them for a long time. So once we come back, my kids started saying, "Oh, who was this?" Like, they just wanted like some tactile. That's the best word that I can find. Way to remember the trip. So I was like, okay, I have the pictures, I have the notebooks, because if you ever see me traveling, I carry a traveler's notebook with me, so I'm taking notes and keeping stickers, all that stuff. I'm very good at those things. So I said, okay, I started doing, you're gonna laugh. I started doing pocket pages, 12 by 12. But I take a lot of pictures, guys. I take tons of pictures. And then just for the trip, I filled an entire 12 by 12 album. And because it was my cousin's weddings too. So it's not that it was just that. So then my husband had the bright idea, why don't you just like, build albums for the kids? You like to be like, artistic, you're home, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, I was like, I can do that. I'm gonna use a piece of cardstock behind my photo just to give it a little bit of bulk. Um, not bulk, dimension, because it's not bulk. So I said, okay, so I wasn't a fan of scrapbooking. I had some friends that I work with. I worked for the school at the time while my kids went to school. Um, and they were older, and she scrapbooked for her daughter. And she always brought me stuff, and I was like, I don't know, I'm not a classical scrapbooker. Like, she was like really classical. She's like almost 20 years older than me too. So I was like, I don't know, I don't like that style. And someday, for some reason, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go. And this is like around 10 years ago. I haven't been scrapbooking for that long. So I decided, oh, I'm gonna go online, see, and I think I discovered a page that had watercolor on the background. I can't even remember tell you who it. I think it was Susie Fish. And I was like, I like that. I was like, I like that. I can customize my page, and I can make it for a boy and for a girl. I don't have to, add the poems. I was like, okay, I want to do that. So, and at the same time, but you cannot document all your pictures. You have to be, what's the word? The name of this paper is Tutti Frutti. I realized that I take a lot of pictures. There are some pictures, just the special pictures that need to be in an album. But there's a lot. I love every day. That's the thing. I love every day because, again, being a stay-at-home mom, I have learned to enjoy the little things. Okay, my life for 15 years was all about walks. My dog, who sadly we had to put away a couple months ago. My children, coffee, books. So you learn to appreciate those things. And then, you know, once my cousins started getting married, they had little ones. And even though they live in Ecuador, we share a Google account that where all the pictures come. So I'm able to reach their photos. Um, so, I started just documenting in 12 by 12s. So I'm just creating frames out of this. Okay. So, um, and then I was like, you know, what am I gonna do with all these pictures that I take of like every day, like my dog, um, flowers, my kids just watching TV, things that we watch, things that we read. There's things that are just for me. There's things that maybe my kids would like to know, like let's say in like 5 years, they will want to see what we did that day. So somebody said, why don't you do like 6 by 8 album? I was like, you know what? That's a little bit bigger than the regular notebook that I'm, used to creating. I think that's a good size. At the same time, again, the privileges of living in an apartment. Apartments don't have a lot of storage space. Okay, and my apartment is big, guys. It's not that I want to brag. My apartment is old. This is a building that was built. The name of this paper is Go Go Blooms. This is a building from the 1960s. We bought it, long time ago. I'm gonna add a little piece of cardstock behind this, just to make it a little bit of dimension without a lot of bulk. So we bought it, and I think I'm live still. I don't know what I did. Just double check. I think I just screwed up. See, I'm live. Yes, I'm fine. Oh God. For 2 seconds there, I freaked out because I pressed something and I was like, oh, you know. So, like I said, my apartment is not old. It's not a condo. It's older than a condo. So it's from the 1960s. We don't have a lot of space to store things. So, my husband was like, you know what? I read a lot. I read a lot. My husband had to make a decision of not get rid of my books. I did not get rid of my books, but move them onto a digital format. And best thing that I ever did was that. And then the next thing was like, you know what, Natalie, we need to cut the 12 by 12 albums because let's be honest, it takes a lot of space. So I decided to go into the 6 by 8s. It's still the same format, guys. I know some people say, no, it's not that big. It is. It's just a matter of, and I like smaller pictures. I like either really big pictures or really small pictures. And having the 6 by 8 format, it just makes sense to my lifestyle. Doesn't mean that it's it for everybody. To my lifestyle. It is the right size. I'm going to put it at the bottom here. It gives me the space to still be creative. It gives me the freedom to add a pocket page, which I enjoy, to write a lot of story, which I love, obviously, coming from a journaling background. So it's not that I don't love 12 by 12s. I love 12 by 12s, especially if there's a picture this little and a lot of white space that I can do everything that I want to do. Love it. Okay. But I also live with people think like, oh my God, my kids are big and they're gonna go. And I was like, yes, when they finally, at least one of them leaves, I'm gonna have a room to transform into a craft room. That ain't happening. You know, I had my high hopes for my daughter getting married. Next thing you know, she's like, I think I'm gonna break up with the guy. I was like, okay, fine. And then both of them went from full-time workers. They're still well, one's still full-time, part-time. They're doing their masters, both of them. So we have full-time adults that are dependent on us, but I have students back again. I'm gonna be like, I'm never sure of saying my birthday. I'm gonna be 50 in December. My kid's gonna be 25 because I had them, youngish. So, but I still live with that. I'm not gonna kick them out. I do hope eventually they'll leave. But so it was okay. I already got rid of my books. Got into I have like my Kindles and all the stuff. And then my husband goes, you know what, Natalie, you either go digital with your collection with your scrapbooking, but I wanted the physical product. So going to a 6x8 was the best choice for every day. And then having like those special pictures, go 12x12. Now, I don't keep my layouts in albums because then I will need an entire new apartment. What I do is I have bins. So I'm keep talking. I have bins for them. And I have, for example, this one here will probably stay with us. But then I might make, sometimes people are like, why are you having the same picture in like 2 or 3 layouts? Because I take pictures of like 4 or 5 people. I have albums for my sisters. I have albums for my cousins. I have albums for both my children. And I have albums for me. So if you see a picture that I repeat like 3 times, it's probably like this picture here. I'll make it twice. One layer will be stay with us, and another layer will go to my cousin. If you see little girls, that's my cousin's little girl. They might happen to be my goddaughters. So they go to her or they stay with me. And you'll think, oh, hi, my mother travels yearly back home. We tend to go back home on a regular basis, or they come to visit. They take albums with them. Okay, so there you go. I hope that my long story served to give you a little bit of info why I like do both of the sizes. Okay, so yeah, I love 6x8s. I love traveler's notebooks. If I could, like, keep my life in those tiny little pocketbooks, I'd be amazed. But no. So I go from 6x8 and 12x12s. So hope that's like, that answers your questions. So there you go. I have like my picture. So I already know that it's gonna go like that. Okay, and now we're gonna, like I said, to kind of balance this, because there's a lot up here, we need to balance it at the bottom. So nothing is glued. Let's go into the embellishments. Yeah, see, I'm talking a lot today, and it's not because, like, I've missed all of you guys. Yeah, I trust me, I love layouts. If I had the space to, like, document everything, or if my cousins and my sister and my niece and nephew will take, like, their scrapbook pages on a regular basis, I wouldn't mind doing 12x12s. Okay. But I gotta be honest with you guys too. Like, it is not that it's not that I want to do it, but let's say that I keep doing 12x12s. What's going to happen to all those pictures that I take? So I have to, um, and like my friend Vicky Boutin, she's a good friend of mine, besides being one of my bosses. She says, like, and I agree with her, once I die, or once, my kids decide to leave, they can take the layers, they can burn them, they can create a bonfire, they can jump over them. That's okay. It's not gonna affect me. My son, I'm pretty sure that my son, even though he like moans and cries like, "Oh, you're taking my picture," he will keep them and show his kids. My daughter would probably put them, like, to start like the kindling at the barbecue, okay? Because she's like that. But at the my cousins, my sister, they love the albums. Okay, so I have those two camps. So you see, I keep them, like I said, containers. They're not in my house. I have containers. Thankfully, my husband, we own like a small moving company, and we have a storage facility. So they're in the storage facility. So somebody asked me, "Oh, can we see these?" I'm like, thank God I take pictures of my layouts, because everything else is in storage. So I have that. And what I have here, I'm just gonna go back into the project because I can talk to you guys for a while. I'm by myself at home, and I don't have my little baby anymore. I had to put him to sleep, so I'm kind of lonely. So I have that. Like I said, I want to hang things from here. So for that, we're gonna use the ephemera, and it's gonna be a choice whether you want to hang flowers, you want to hang ephemera. Completely up to you. One of the reasons why I went with this idea is because if you look at this month's kit, it has kind of like a retro vibe. And when I was looking at it, I was thinking, those bead curtains when you reminds me of my aunts for some reason. Like I had aunts that were like older, like my mom's aunts were a little bit older than her. And I remember going to like one of the youngest ones of them, and she had like a bead curtain, and she's around this time of like kind of the groovy age, what I called it. So I was like, oh, it'd be nice to hang things. So you can even hang flowers, which is probably, but I think I want to use some of the flowers here just to bring up the colors, so not too much, okay? Not too much. I'm just playing with some of the stuff. So don't, like, nothing is, you can see that I'm not gluing anything right now. I just didn't, like, kind of think of it as auditioning stuff, okay? So literally that's what I'm doing. I'm just auditioning pieces right now, okay? Making sure that it needs to be heavy here. Because remember, we're going to stretch this. So I always talk about this, and it's like when you want to create like a focal point to your layer, when you want to bring something like, make it pop, you have to think of bringing your eye there. Okay, so in this case, you're gonna see that I'm going to add things this way, embellishments and a title. My title is big this way, and I'm going to go with hanging things that are gonna go this way. So what happens when you cross the lines here? The focal point is gonna be, you see my hands? It's gonna be right here. So I wanna make sure that the focal point is gonna be right on your picture. Okay? So we're gonna go embellishments and a large title this way, and we're gonna hang things this way. I might not hang it through the entire title. I might just go through what the picture part is, but once you see it, you're gonna understand how this works. Okay, so just bear with me. If you've never been to my live sessions and you're talking a lot, yes, I do tend to talk a lot, and I need to be, if you know me from other groups, especially if you're with Vicky, then you guys know that I'm very quiet. And yes, I am not the most talkative of people, but I do like going live to create projects. Okay, so there's those two sides of me. On a regular basis, I am not one to talk much, but when I'm working on projects, I enjoy it. So like I said, we need something. So you see I have embellishments here. We're gonna add something else. I'm just working through all this. Like I told you, the kids just got here not too long ago, so it's not that I'm just trying to kind of, like I said, move my line. I might move this more to the right, to the left, sorry. Just trying to see what works here. I think I might be as much, I might need a smaller flower there. I might have to, oh, there's butterflies too, so I might go with that. I'm gonna take this, but I can fussy cut one too. But for now, let's just work with what we have. This, I don't like this leaf here. I just look at things and I know. Okay, I like that a little bit better. I have to add another flower up here, but for now, it's working for me. We need to add more things there. So now we kind of work the horizontal. You have the idea. Now we're gonna work the vertical. Okay, for that you have the title. There's two things you can do with your title. And like I said, I don't know if you can see it. There is a finish to it, kind of I don't know if the camera can catch that. There's like a little shine to them, like polka dots. If you want to bring color to this, and remember, like I showed you at the beginning, I do have my color kit here. And I have water and everything to dissolve it. You can actually paint over it, and you're gonna have a polka dot effect, because those little polka dots that you see there, they actually have a resist. So they're actually going to pop, and they're gonna stay white. So for now, I don't want to add color yet. I don't think I need it, because I'm going to bring interest this way. How I'm gonna do it is by hanging things. Okay. And again, if you have seen my projects, or if you have seen my work before, then you guys know that I love things that have movement, that are hanging. There's a lot of white space. And I'm sure you have seen projects that they use quite a bit of red. Trying to think, I think they were in Spanish, and I have to translate it. Sometimes that happens. So I'm gonna do the same thing. Okay. So I have like 5 of this. Okay, so I pulled this one because I think I have all the colors here. So I'm gonna bring colors that I see on the background that I think are gonna help me with this. I like this. No, it's too, let's see what colors will work for me. I should have done this ahead of time, but didn't think, okay, let me get some. See, like I told you, I have a lot of it. Okay. I like crafts. I love crafts. So yeah, so I have a lot of like things that are gonna help me be crafty. Yarn. I what are some of the things that you like doing besides scrapbooking? If you ask me, I love to embroider. I love coffee and to read. That'd be my first choice. But I loved for a long time. I come from a South American background, so I like this. It picks up on the purple. Okay, so we're gonna use that. I need something that's kind of on the pinkish side. So I'm in this color palette here. Um, I love crochet. I can crochet. Not that I'm patting my back, but I'm good at crocheting. Like really good at it. Like I made clothing that my kids poo-pooed and said, "Oh, I don't like it," and they wore it after. I have tons of hats. I'm good at crocheting. I'm good at cross stitching. It's not that I'm really good at painting. I don't know. I need another color. So I'm gonna bring some of that peachy tone. I grew up with very little. Okay, I grew up in Ecuador. Not with much. Okay, so a lot. That no, it's kind of on the pinkish side. We didn't grow up with a lot. We grew up with enough. Okay, so we didn't. A lot of the things that we had to get done, or we had to do them ourselves. So that implied that I'm not good with the sewing machine. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are in the same boat that I am, that, in my same boat. You had to learn to do things. It's gonna sound bad. It's not by yourself, but you had to be, if you wanted to get something done, you kind of have to do it yourself. So my mom taught us a lot of things. And then again, I grew up in South America, which, you know, it was all about learning, like, things that are gonna make you a good wife. So we had like, and I'm sure back, like, if you think about it, and it goes to Canada too. It's not just like, my case or back home. Um, it's between these two. Back in the day, I might need to bring something that has like that tealish look. So I'm gonna pull some more here. But I think three should do it. But we're gonna see. Back we're not going to talk a child from 75, but back in the day there was a lot of emphasis on, like, trades and, like, housekeeping, cooking, and like school was not just about, like, math and English and all the stuff. It was a lot of things that were going to make you self-sufficient. I grew up, even though, like, I went to schools, in the 80s and 90s. Um, I was in after world country, so there was a lot of that for us, like cooking, not cleaning, cooking, stitching, typing, a lot of those things. Yeah. So again, like I said, think about it. You're gonna deal with a household, so things that are gonna help you with that. So I learned how to do a lot of these things. They were part of my curriculum. So I'm gonna use, for example, this. See, I'm just pulling some of the yarn. I use something here. Okay, so that's going to be there. I want to use a little bit cool. So it was part of our arts and crafts. It was a mandatory credit. It's not like, oh, you don't want to do it. It's like you have to do it to get that mark. So, we did it. So we have that. Yeah. So I'm just pulling some of the colors. I want to see which color works best here with the picture too. I think it's going to be this pink. So I learned all those things. My mother, on the other hand, she happened to be a teacher. She happens to be a teacher. She never worked in the profession because she had us obviously a very young age. So, but she used all the knowledge that she had on us. So we were not allowed to watch TV that much. My mother wasn't a fan of TV per se. Instead, we were like, taught with my sister and I to read, to draw. My sister can draw like you guys have no idea. She's an excellent artist, even though we don't do anything artistic. per se, but she was amazing. And I was always really good at painting and I like stitching and things like this. So, you know, kind of my life story right there. So you see what I'm doing? I'm going to use this to kind of hang stuff here, but I want to make sure that I loop the I was going to say the tape. It's not the tape. Blah, 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 blah. What's the name of this? The thread. The word comes in Spanish in my brain right away. So yeah. So like I said, it is I don't think it's like, a bad thing to learn trades. I always think that trades and things like that are a good thing. Maybe, and it's not because, some people are gonna be like, well, you're like, it's feminism and you shouldn't. No, God, guys, it's nothing to do with being a feminist or anything like that or go against it. I have nothing against it. I'm a chemical engineer. That's what I went to school for. I'm a chemical engineer and a pastry chef. I went to school 2 times, not even once, 2 times. I love school. I love learning, but it has nothing to do with those things. I just think that, you know, it is a good thing to know basics. Like they taught us how to cook. Okay, might not be the good, like, the greatest thing, but you know what? It was a good thing. I knew how, by the time, like, I was 12 years old. I'm just gonna I cut a piece. I knew how to make, I knew that I wasn't gonna starve, and I knew that I wasn't gonna be eating. Well, we're talking about back home too. I was cooking even before that. So, but like, like cooking, I'm just gonna thread some of the thread, some of the embossing floss, you know. I knew that I wasn't gonna starve. And I'm not talking about like, oh, we didn't have microwaves. We didn't have like, in my time, again, I gotta, say it like that. In my time, we didn't have microwaves back home. We didn't have like, a lot of access to like canned food either. Because I, again, come from a third world country. We had fresh stuff. We didn't have a lot. So we had to be creative with the stuff. So we learned how to use the stuff. We ate everything, you know, one thing. Um, but then we have to be creative with the recipes because sometimes there was only so many things that you could use that you had to learn how to cook. So I probably was cooking since I remember being at the stove with my mom at like 3 or 4 years old. My mom had we had this little tiny kitchen, like a range, and my mom used to put like a little stool next to her, you know, and then I used to stand up there and I help her like, with stuff like moving the pots, like, a spoon, like, stirring things. My grandparents, my grandmother, I have to say, um, we had like she had all of us, and that means my cousins, my uncles, my aunts. We are all the people that we are because of her. She and her and my grandfather had a little restaurant. They were the most hardworking people that I can think about it, and they made us all hard workers. I think I was working at the restaurant since I was probably since I could wield a knife because we had like a restaurant. It wasn't things that are complicated. They started us by just giving us a pick up stuff like garbage, then clean up tables, things like that until we were able to like, hold a knife properly. Then we were moved into, well, my sister and I call it the manual labor. It was always manual. And I think I was already like 5 or 6 when I was already like peeling potatoes, and I'm talking about buckets. Okay, so I am not afraid of work. And my grandparents brought pretty much, like I said, my uncles. I'm the first granddaughter. The same way we were, and the way that we were paid, we didn't get paid, but we did get paid, was love. But they paid for our tuitions. They help us pay for our school because in Ecuador we had scholarships. Sometimes we couldn't afford books and stuff like that. And my grandparents pay for that stuff. Can say we pay for it because we worked, but I've been working since. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Maybe I really consider maybe like I said 4 or 5 years old already. My sister too, and then we did a lot of work. So when my cousins came, and they came when my sister and I were around 11 years old or so. Um, we did the work for them so my cousins wouldn't do it because we already like, we had nice childhood, you know. It wasn't, wow, you had a great childhood. I gotta be honest, no, it wasn't like that. Like, we didn't go to camp or we didn't go play outside with our friends or nothing like that. We had to work, you know. And people say like, oh, manual labor. I loved it. I loved it because I think that first of all, it gave us the greatest relationship with our grandparents. And my grandparents, besides my mom, they pretty much brought us up. They raised us, okay? And he taught us everything. My grandmother was and I'm gonna like if anybody ever like know me knows that I love my grandparents. Unfortunately they're not here with me anymore. My grandmother was indigenous, Ecuadorian, illiterate, um, because you know what, it's the times, but she taught us how to add, subtract, multiply, business, how to deal with stuff with our brains. Because she couldn't do it like, with paper and stuff like that. She taught us to do it with our brains. She took me to all her transactions. Whenever I was in town, I was the one that has to go with her to do her transactions. Maybe that's why I love a lot of the organizing behind the scenes. I was like kind of like the one that helped with the I was kind of the secretary, the assistant, because she couldn't do those things, yeah. So I kept books and stuff like that. Like I said, like fun. Growing up in my times, it was fun and very rewarding. So, when my cousins started coming and like, we had, like I said, we were already close to being teenagers when they arrived. My sister and I made the firm decision that we will do the work so that my cousins didn't have to do it. Because we also understood that it'd be nice to have a childhood. We didn't have one, the idyllic, my cousin, like my aunt, like the family on the other side, like my aunts on, my mom's side and stuff like that. They had great holidays. Like, they went on vacations. We didn't. We worked. Okay. So it's okay. It prepared for like, it prepared me for the future. And like I said, you know, my husband knows this too. She and all my cousins know this. She is the reason that we are what we are or who we are. Should I say it? I'm going to actually help myself with a little bit of home adhesive, and you're gonna hear me talk because we're just gonna start, threading the stuff before we move on. Let me just find my home adhesive glue. It's right here. I knew that I had it handy. So you see and that's what I think, like, trades and like, work for it's very important. It's good to enjoy time, but in our times, because I'm sure that I'm not the only one that is this young, you know. Like I said, I'm gonna be 50 in a couple months. I'm not shy about my age. But yeah, I grew up in the 80s, 90s, 70s, whichever way you want to say it, but in a third world country. So totally different experience. Okay. But it was the best of times. I gotta admit it. My grandparents, we were my grandparents, I had a little farm. Um, so we spent time with, I hate chickens. I heard birds because I can tell you stories. We were followed by birds. We were like, attacked by chickens. Again, part of the experience of growing in Ecuador, and I loved it. My cousins now, they laugh because there's some pictures. They're like, oh, we're at the farm. They're waiting for you. There's like, pictures of chickens and birds. I don't like birds because of that. But I can tell you so many stories, guys. Again, grew up like, in a combination of like third world country, big city, small city. Yeah, our background is, you know, very glad of how we grew up. But oh God, the stories that I can tell you. Okay, see, just so you see what I'm doing. Okay, see. And just adding that little bit of like, thread, it's gonna make the title pop a little bit more. But you see what I'm doing. And the foam adhesive is kind of key here because it's gonna create that shade, that shadow that's gonna make the title readable. Did I say that properly? Yeah, readable. So I'm just going to thread the next color. I'm not gonna go with all the colors of the rainbow, which would be nice. But I want to keep the hanging of stuff in this area here. I already told you why. So sorry if I'm talking a lot, but you asked me questions, and those are things that I have to explain quite a bit, because sometimes I can tell you I work to a work country and people are like, oh, okay. But then you have to, like, hear a lot more to understand how my brain or we all are different. We all, like, are, that's one of the things that, we also learn is that we're different. I'm going to go on the O here. And it's fun. It was fun. Like, growing in my time was fun. I grew up, in a tiny little, tiny little town, and then moved to the city. Um, but every moment that we had available, vacation, weekends, we go back to the little town. So I grew up with the best of both worlds, and then we moved to Canada. And I've been in Canada for over, we just talked about it with my husband the other day. Um, I've been in Canada for over 33 years, I think 32 years, something like that. I've been in Canada for a while now. So fun, you know, because we were talking about, like, what was the experience for moving. My husband is from the Azores, from Portugal, from a small island, but he's been here in Canada since he was 3 years old. So it's a little bit different than my life story. So we always talk about, like, those things, and like, he grew up with no pets, and I grew up with, like, freaking so many dogs, stuff like that. So yeah, I think I said, oh guys, I can tell you stories. Oh God, I can tell you so many stories, But yeah, but just a little bit of, like, what, like I said, and that's probably one of the reasons why all my family, my entire family, we love school. We love education, not just school education. Like, I love learning. I love to learn. Maybe that's why I love crafts, because I'm always learning something new, a new way of painting, a new way of doing things. I love crafts. Again, we had to do everything from scratch, like I said. You know, okay, it's gonna sound very like Laura Ingalls, but remember those, I don't know if it looks the same as it looked in Ecuador. You know those flour sacks back in the day? I don't know, maybe I'm really old. I don't know. No, I'm not really old, but, like, we're really, like, kind of poor. But in our country, the sacks of flour were actually made out of cotton. Like, not cotton, but those calico prints that had, like, flowers and stuff like that. I don't know why but we had our own mills too. So, like, um so whenever, like, the sacks were finished, my mother used to save those and make up pillowcases for our beds from that. And then, like, eventually we had enough pillowcases, but, we made, like, tablecloths and things like that. And eventually, I don't know what it was. We had dresses out of that. We had dresses. So we learned how to make that. I'm not good at sewing. That's one of the things that my mother's amazing at it. She's a seamstress. I'm not, but yeah, we learn. But you see, one of the things that we learn back home, in our, it's called home ec. I'm sure that some of you probably experienced that in school. We learn, like, how to pattern a pair of pants, how to pattern a pair of skirt, how to put buttons, how to do hems. I know how to do all those things. It was just part of the school. Once again, I went to a nunnery. Don't, because I, again, not that much money. We had to, we were in good standing. My grandmother, not me, not us. My grandmother was in good standings with the church. So the priest, kind of help us get scholarships in a way, or cheaper, what's the name of the word? What's the word? Tuition for us to go to schools, and that happens to pretty much all of us. And that's one of the reasons why we love school too, because we always had to strive to be really good at school, not to lose the scholarships and stuff like that. So yeah, so because I went to an all girls Catholic, and I call it the nunnery because it was all nuns who taught us, you know. Yeah, I learned how to pattern a skirt, how to pattern. Don't say that I like it, but I know how to do it. I can do t-shirts, tops, like, how to dart things, and, like, all those things. Yeah, that was part of our curriculum. We had to take typing. I don't know if they do it anymore. We had to take calligraphy. We had to take, I don't know if you have it here, but all-time assistants, also known as secretaries back in the day, knew, it's not typewriter, shorthand. we learned shorthand. And I only took it for, they only taught us that, and I'm going to hang this at the top of the M. They only taught us shorthand because I went into STEM, like a lot of like, I was really good at that type of thing. I went into STEM. I didn't take the stuff my aunt did, but she knew how to shorthand an entire thing. And we're talking about the time where like, they will dictate like an entire conversation, like bosses would like tell the secretaries all that stuff. So the nuns taught us that. We had teachers for that, teachers for typing, different times, guys. And I wish, in a way, now that I see I see my kids, and I used to see myself, like, when you text and you only texting with one hand, I'm like, you know what? I so wish we could, like, kids could take, I know that some kids do take typing nowadays, but not as much as we used to. It was mandatory and we were tested on it. Like, I mean, you can hear the machines going at the same time. And you'll see the teacher just walk up and down the aisle, you know, she's just walking up and down the aisle, and you knew somebody like, mess up when you hear the machine just kind of back, and then you had like that little white paper, the corrector, and every time you made a correction on your paper, you already knew that you were losing marks. It wasn't like, great. Sorry guys, like somebody's texting. No, it wasn't like, great, but when I look at it, I can type on my computer with my eyes closed. I know what everything is. I can use all my fingers. My son can do that. My daughter can do that. My husband, forget about it. He grew up here. He doesn't, my niece and nephew don't. They only use how to use the two thumbs on the phone. And my little cousins nowadays, they don't know either. Meanwhile, my aunts, even my cousins, that are like on their 30s and 40s, they know how to do it because it was part of the curriculum until a couple years ago in Ecuador, but it's changed now. But I wish, it's something very like there are things that we have, what is the word? That we have taken for granted that are necessary nowadays. That's the best way. So you see, I have my phone. If you want to, you can go the whole way. I'm not gonna go the whole way. I think that's all I'm gonna do. And if I need to add another one, I'll probably go on the E here, but I doubt it because I'm gonna add more things. Remember, like I said, I wanna create a line that it goes vertically right around the picture and something horizontally. So where these two lines meet, like think about it this way, that's where my photo is gonna sit. You're gonna have tons of space. You can add another picture. You want to add another picture, you can even add it down here. Okay, but I'm gonna go with the single picture kind of layout. So I'm liking what that looks like. So I'm gonna go ahead and secure that part. Okay, so, and I don't know if I'm gonna hang flowers, I don't know if I'm gonna hang butterflies, embellishments, I don't know yet. But at least this part I know it's gonna sit here. So let me get a ruler to make sure it's nice and straight. You see, I've been talking so much. I'm gonna drink water. So what else do we have to do? Okay. And it's really hot here, guys. It's like, if you're like in the eastern part of North America or anywhere like, I know Europe is really hot too because my cousin that is I said Portugal, in Barcelona and Madrid said like, oh, it's really hot there too. So I think it's just like the season, but it's extremely hot here. Like, So I have my photo. I'm gonna say around 2 inches around there from the top. Then my title is gonna go right there. I'm gonna make sure that I kind of center it. Don't worry about this because remember my flowers are gonna go there. So I'm gonna be around, let's just try to center this. So around 2 inches from the left and the right. So let's see if I can glue that there. So I'm gonna set this in place because I know that it's not gonna move. And if you want to change, like you don't want to do the hanging, you can actually color the letters. Just use like, the color kit. You just have to use a brush, or you can use a foam adhesive, a foam applicator if you want to ink it. Just keep in mind that it has a finish that is going to create a resist. And what I mean by that is once it all dries, it's gonna look like you have polka dots because there's a resist in the finish that is gonna give you that look. So just be mindful of that. I am not doing that because I am choosing to give it some dimension and actually hang the things from it. So it's going to make it pop a little bit more. So I'm just pulling off the backing of this for now. It's simple, but still, even though it looks simple, it takes some work. Okay, so let's make sure that it's around here. Okay. One to the right. There we go. Yeah, that's about right. There we go. So title's ready. Okay. Okay. So let's keep the stuff that we had here. So for now, we're just gonna play with the idea because I do like this here. Where's the other one that I had? And I might not even need that many. Let's see here. Put to the side there. Okay. I like that. So I have part. So now it's gonna be a matter of where we're going to hang from this thing. So let me just put the string away so I don't, it's out of the way. Just give me 1 second. I'll sort the colors after. Okay, so now, yeah, here we go. Now you can add like a lot more and just hang a lot of things from here and then put a lot of pictures up here, completely up to you. Yes. But I know I'm gonna bulk up my title. I know that I need to add more stuff here. I know that I need to bring more flowers here too. And then let's work on the things that are hanging. You can easily put butterflies, which I might do. I might fussy cut a few of them. I can also put the little buttons and thread them down. So I don't know yet. I want to work on this part here first. Okay, so let's complete my title. Pretty like this sunshine memories. I like that. Okay, so I think I'm gonna put sunshine there. And this picture is actually at one of my goddaughter's baptism back home. So I'm just going to add some foam adhesive because I want to make sure that it pops. You love my stories, Dad. I have a lot of stories. Sorry, like I said, I haven't been live in a month or so, I think. Just things that happen. Like I said, it was been really hot here in Toronto, like very hot. And for that means that either air conditioners are pulling a lot of energy out of buildings, or also there is a lot of demand on the electrical system. We've had so many issues with that. Like seriously, we had no power for like one day. It's July 2nd. If I'm not mistaken, July 2nd, the power was cut out because you know how they changed the poles, the electricity poles outside. Well, they did that in our area, so that means that they had to cut the power, which is okay. The entire area didn't have power for like 5 hours. They gave us a notice saying, you're not gonna have power, blah blah blah. Um, yeah, okay. We had a new system or whatever the hell they did. Sorry about the word. It blew something in our building. So magically we had no power one night for like since like 6 in the afternoon until 2 in the morning. Like we had no power whatsoever, and it was so hot. And then to fix that, so we're like, okay. So they're like, okay. 2 days after, they're like, we're gonna fix it. We're gonna cut your power. We're gonna cut it for like maybe like 3 hours, whatever. It was July 2nd, I remember. So I told Kimberly I can't go live because it was scheduled, this and that. They came, they fixed it. Again, I don't know what they did. Within 3 days, one of the hottest days, power went down again. We went without power since like 3 in the afternoon until pretty much 2 the next morning. So it's been fun times, you know. And I say with like, I say it with a smile on my face because it has been fun times. My husband, if I say he was grumbling, going, I said, well, what can you do? Like, seriously, what can you do? The demand on the energy grid, because, the demand on the energy grid, because of all the power that we're pulling out of it, it's a lot. Like, think about it. Like, everybody's like, the heat is so much that you need to have an air conditioning on. That means that you are going to have to use some of the power. I'm going to go with something in the teals because I'm on this side. And I want to probably add it like either here or here. So I think I'm going to go here for something little and then something small here too. Just kind of like follow my line here. So yeah, I don't, I mean, she's not happy about it. Nobody's gonna be happy that you have no power. You know, you couldn't cook, you couldn't like, we had like barely anything in the fridge, which is okay. Um, but then, we had no power and people like thankfully we live in the seventh floor. Still a little bit like, going down the stairs, not a problem. Going up the stairs, not the greatest of ideas, especially, in that heat and in the dark, you know. So yeah, that wasn't the best of times. But there's not much you can do, guys. Like, there's it wasn't like, like somebody created an accident. No, it just things had to get done, things had to get like, and they had to cut the power. What can we do? I like that there. Just kind of stretch this, okay? You're having issues. Yeah, it's like I don't think we are the only ones. I think it's like, anywhere that, that has like energy is being pulled at like that extreme of a level. Like think about it. Like my apartment building, per example, we have 8 apartments per floor, and we have 27 floors. So make that is 14, around 180 floors. So think of it as like at least 70% of those people are like of the apartments are pulling the energy. That just gives you an idea of how much power is being used. So of course you're putting a huge strain onto the grid. Of course you're gonna have cuts, but we didn't expect to have cuts like that way, like back to back. And like I said, even send Kimberly, I'm like, Kimberly, it's not that I don't want to go live. It's just this is happening. Send her the email. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, because I feel bad. I schedule things and then, things just change. I don't like, um, I don't know. I don't, if I make a plan, I want to make it through. I want to like, make sure that I go through the stuff. And I don't like, and that's, I'm pretty sure most of you guys are like that too. If you made a plan, you want to make sure that you want to see it through. Okay, that's the best way to say it. And I wanted to see it through. I wanted to make sure that that I went live, so you guys, But at the same time, like she said, don't worry. And she was having a few issues getting the kids together, so she said it's okay. Like don't stress because the kids haven't made So it's been a comedy of a lot of things, a combination of a lot of things. But I think we're getting back to the normal somehow. So we're gonna try to keep the dates between Wednesdays and Thursdays to live sessions for now. Hopefully nothing changes. But I can tell you for sure that nothing's gonna change on my side of things because God only knows that things change faster than sometimes you can think about it in my place. I think I need something here. Like I need to bulk it up here somehow. I'm just thinking, how can I do that? Not too much because then it's gonna be kind of balance it out. But I like this here. So let's get a foam adhesive. Okay. Yeah. See, now we have to work on this area here. I'm looking at my time. We're good on time. So I just drinking water. So you see, like I'm working from the same idea that you will. Like I'm working from scratch, so it's not that have things done. So if I can get this done in an hour and a half, so can you. Okay, so it's always a good thing. Okay, so let's work on the stuff that's hanging. Like I said, one of the things that I looked at in here, I love is butterflies. So I'm thinking that I can add butterflies. One of the things that I see here, I'm just trying to see, I've seen a few. Let me just pull the ones that I see here. I see a camera, which is going to come in handy. And see more flowers. And so delicious. I don't think it's so delicious. It's something we're going to use on this. I can use the circles too. Yeah, I might go with like butterflies on one. Okay, so if I go butterflies on one, then I can put a sentiment on the other one. Or I can go with no flowers, because I already have flowers here. I can go with the buttons. Before I do that, I see this. These are cool. I love it. Okay. I like this sweet life. See, because I need to stretch this. Going this way, I can actually put it here too. But I don't think I want to get more like butterflies, I think. I can put this here. Okay. Or I can go with the So Lovely because it has flowers, which I think I'm going to use. Foam adhesive a little bit. Okay. It's going to work on this one. Like, and you're going to see me that I'm jumping from one side to the other one. It's not that I'm doing it on purpose. I just see things that I have to work out before I move, you know. I see these labels. I'm just trying to build this line going up. So I need to stretch this, okay? So I'm just working on that right now. I like that. So I can add a little sentiment there. Here. A little flower or something. No, no flower. Just trying to think of something that goes with the look of it. What if I put, no, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to think something I like this. Cute. I just don't like the way that, see how it has this? It doesn't need something like that. It needs just like a layer. So I'm just trying to think of something that gives me that layer without like, you know. So let me see what I have here. I think I need like a label or a piece of something like that. There we go. See, even though it's supposed to be a wedge of something, I like that there. So it's gonna need a little bit of foam adhesive because you wanna create a little bit of a separation. I have one that's thinner. So an hour and 15. Okay. Okay, I like that. Just bolt that up that way. So now here, let's see, butterfly. Okay. I have this little circle there. I don't know if it, no, I think it just needs like butterflies or something like that. Let's see how we do with the button. And it's gonna have to be like kind of like not zigzagging, but like at different intervals. So this is gonna be here, maybe down here, like this. I can go with my butterflies too. There's a paper that has all butterflies and the kit, and I just can fussy cut some of those. So I might go that way. This paper is fields of butterflies. So I think I'm gonna cut some of this, even though I love the B side. But I think I can go like, yeah, I'm gonna go with butterflies. So let's get up. I don't want the buttons because it doesn't go with what I have in mind. Let's move this out of the way for now. So let's cut a few. See? Quick fussy cutting. So I'm just gonna pull a few for now. Okay, so yeah. So this is gonna be here. I need another one. And I feel bad because I love the B side, but it's okay. I need another blue one. So we're gonna keep pulling it from that side there. And I like this kind of pinkish one. Let's pull another one of these blue ones. So that's probably gonna be here. Repeat this two here. See, I'm repeating this kind of idea on this side here. I'm gonna change this one to one. Same butterfly. Kind of repetition is gonna be key here. I have one there, maybe another one up here probably, and then we need something in between. I see here I have, I think this would be too big, but I like this one here. So carefully pull this one out. And we're gonna fussy cut. So for now, I'm just taking out the butterflies that I need. Two, and I need another one. I see a tiny little one here. Where did I see it? Oh, right here. I need more blue. So I'm gonna go with this big blue one here with pink. Okay, we're gonna fussy cut this, and I think once we get that done, we should be okay. My little fussy cutting, and you're gonna see my little garbage here. So let's do quickly. I'm gonna leave a little bit of an offset, and I'm gonna cut. And what I mean by an offset is like a little bit of the bluish tone from the background around my butterflies. Um, sometimes I'm fast at fussy cutting, so sometimes I'm not. I'm gonna try to be fast today. They're not gonna be perfect because they're really close to the flowers, so some of the pieces will have to be sacrificed, as in the flower pieces, or like, having that perfect offset. So I'm trying to cut it with a bit of an offset. The offset is just gonna help you like kind of make them pop a little bit more on the background. And because I have the offset on the white ones from the ephemera too, so I want to keep the same look. Almost there. You can sacrifice the antenna if you want. If you like, think that is like too much for you, you can sacrifice them. I'm just gonna fussy cut them for now. And then we'll deal with this. So like I said, if I could do this like in an hour and a half, you can do it too. And if you add bigger pictures, it'll take you less time because you have like, less space to fill up. But it's super simple. Like today I opened the kits yesterday. No, not yesterday, like went through like carefully yesterday, but then I had like, already the kit, like I said, it's only been here for a week, no longer than that. So I had perused through the contents, like the contents, sorry, of the kit. So I knew more or less, I have a few ideas. And I was gonna do mixed media, but with the weather being so humid, even though, like I said, we have air conditioning, um, it's not a good day to do mixed media when it's this humid. Um, Papers tend not to dry that great or remain like a little bit, I'm gonna say like, even though it sounds weird, a little bit wet, like they don't fully dry. So even though they feel dry, because there's that moisture in the air, they don't fully dry, and then that's when you have a lot of warping. You're gonna see that even like, I'm gonna take the picture of this most likely tomorrow. Um, the papers are gonna be super like flat. It's just it picks up the moisture from the air so fast that it tends to have like a little bit of a curl to it. Right now everything is closed, but at night sometimes we like, because the stuffy air of the air conditioning, we open the windows at night sometimes. Most of the time, I should say. You still have that breeze at night, so still kind of damp. So the other day I was taking pictures of my project. Like there's a little bit of a curl, and then I realized that it has to do, and I know because I work a lot of mixed media, so I know, you know, what affects the paper. We're almost there. I'm gonna sacrifice the antenna of this just to make it a little bit different from the other one. That's just help me to make a big of a difference. Just because they look the same, and I want them to look a little bit different. Okay, so let's see. I have 1, 2, 3. Let's see, 2 more to go. So again, this one we're gonna sacrifice the antenna. Is that how you call them? Oh, it's 2. It's not just one, so it's not antennas. Summer channel is not antennas, it's antennae. So I think that's how you say it. And if not, I'm sorry, I'm butchering the English language. Yeah, my excuse is always it's my second language, and I'm translating it in my brain as we speak. Yeah, that looks fine. The last one. Yay! We're almost there. I'm having issues here. Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to read the comment. Having issues with it. Yeah. It's everywhere. Like, and then one of the things we had up here in Canada was like, because of all the forest fires that are happening in Manitoba and Saskatchewan and stuff like that, which is the provinces next to us on the east side, we had days that like it smelled like the fall here. Smell like, like nice chimney smell. Like wood, like burning in the stoves. That's what it smelled like. So, and the air was really heavy. So we've been through a lot. So it's not just the power, and like again, your air quality is so low that you have no other choice than close the windows, turn on the air conditioning, put more like strain on the power grid. So it is not surprising that we have the issues that we have. So there we go. So look at the garbage, please. Okay. So now that we have them, we're gonna glue them in place. Okay, so let's play with them a little bit. So some blue. Let's go with something a little bit smaller. What's here? Different shape too. Put this here. This one here. This one here. Okay. Let's secure them with foam adhesive. Okay. We're almost done. So here's where you're gonna take your thread and you're gonna pull it taut, and then you're gonna secure your butterfly. The foam adhesive is gonna go on top of the string. Okay, so then take the other one, put it taut. Okay. Here we can loosen it up a bit. Just for now, we're gonna just do this. Okay. Here, make a curl. It's gonna dry like, clear. So I'm not like, okay. Okay, this is just dry there. And the next one here. So we're gonna do the alternate. So here. Okay, and then I'm gonna go with here. But just move the butterflies so they like kind of create like this nice cascade. There we go. Here we're gonna add a little bit of foam adhesive just to keep this from moving. Don't cut the edges until until you're finished, okay? Now this one. Remember, I'm gonna put some blue over here, so I'm gonna go with this one then. This one. Right there. Okay. And then we need another one here. I think I wanna go with no, I wanna go with this. Okay. Add this one's too. Then the other one. See how I'm like moving the butterfly so they change position too. This one has to move. That's fine. Okay. This one is I'm gonna cut it for the other pieces. Kind of straight. A bit here. This one is already glued, so I don't have to do much. But this one here, I'm going to do again a curl. Okay, we're almost there. There we go. Okay, in the top. See, yeah, I like that. If you want to, you can actually add another butterfly up here just to like help you with the movement. So let's look at that in our kit. There's no, but I think you need something up here. So let's just see what we find. There's not a butterfly, but what about a kite? Oh, actually, no. I'm gonna have to cut another butterfly. Yeah, you need something up here. So let's go with, see? Yeah, this tiny little one here. I don't have any of those down here. No. We're almost finished. Yeah. And I know that that paper is going to be one that is going to be well used. I get two of the papers, so I know one is going to be used for a background, and this one here is pretty much going to be fussy cut for the butterflies. I see it in the future already. And I'm just doing this because I need to stretch this line here. So that's why I'm fussy cutting this last butterfly. So if you don't like fussy cutting, I'm sorry. There's only like 2 or 3 butterflies in the ephemera pack and I'm using them, but I need more. But you can usually change these to buttons if you want to. You can change them to flowers if you want to, like, hanging. I just like the idea of the, see, there's already flowers hanging on the background there. So I didn't want to add flowers. It just needs something up here. See? Okay, so let's get a piece of foam adhesive here. Okay, there we go. Put this away. Where did I put the button here? Uh, there we go. There you go. See? Not too complicated. I like this. Lovely. Lovely. Can be part of my title, or I can move in. Let me see. Can put it there too. So you have two options. You can put it, you gotta be careful because still like drawing down here, or I can put it up here. I can also add, where was it here? See this little, but I do like it. I want a camera. There we go. Step away from the layout. There you go. See? Done, guys. That wasn't so bad. Okay. So, like I said, gonna take, it's not a complicated layout. It's actually pretty simple. It does take some time. It took me exactly an hour and a half to build it from scratch, and I talked quite a bit. So it'll take you probably less time because you don't want to talk as much as I can. And then, let me know what it looks like. So I'm gonna flip the camera. I'll take the pictures and post them hopefully this weekend on, like, on the not the website, on the Instagram and the Facebook page. But let me flip the camera so I can see you guys. There you go. Oh, it's hot here. So thank you so much for joining me today. And like I said, I'm not so sure when I come back in August, but we're gonna try to make it, like, on a more regular basis. Thank you so much for joining me, and let me know if you have any questions. I hope to see you soon. Take care, guys. ¿Qué pasó? Hola, mamis.